Hello, this is Pat Cahill from Pat Cahill Metalworks, and today I thought I'd do a pendant with this stone. It's a rather large stone, so it's going to be, a bigger pendant. So my first thing was trying to dig through my scrap, and I found actually the perfect, which I think is the perfect piece of scrap for this pendant. And even though it has a cutout in the middle, I'll take care of that. I thought I'd put a pendant here, mark it. The inside I'll pierce out about the same shape as the stone itself. And because I think the back looks nice. It's not polished, but it's a nice looking back. And it'll take a little bit of the weight off of it because this is going to be a heavy pendant. So what I'm going to do first is sort of play around, draw out some lines, and I'll get that going and I'll get back to you. Okay, so I used my Sharpie to put a line around where the stone will go, and also I freehanded what I want to pierce out in the middle. That's roughly the same as the stone, but it won't impede on where I have my mark, Sterling Mark II, so I'll go down just that far, which I think will look nice. So the next part is to saw, I guess, to saw out the inside, and then we're solder on a bezel for the stone, and then saw out, and I will make the I think I'm going to make the pendant flush with the bezel for the stone, leaving this top part here, if you see that, where we'll put a little hole in it and a big jump ring so we can, so I'm going to have this little thing just above it where I'm going to drill a hole for a jump ring so that we can just put a chain around it, or I might not even use a chain, I might use cord, because I think this is going to be kind of a cool, sort of a manly pendant, and of course it's for anybody, but I think it would work for men. And so let's do that. So the first part is to saw out the internal portion. Actually, there's no real order here that's necessary. I could do saw out. I could solder on the bezel first if I wanted to, but I'm going to saw this out first. And actually, there's no real delicate piercing work here, so I don't think I'm going to show this on camera. I will be doing a piece that has, I'll bring you over here. I will be doing a piece that does have some intricate piercing work, and that I definitely will show you. So I don't know if you've ever, we'll have to do, this is another thing I was thinking about. If people would like really sort of beginners tutorials on how to saw, how to change your saw blade, just introductory into solder, stuff like that, then I could put those up. So so you guys think about it, get to me in the comments. I'm open to any suggestions, and I'll be back after I have this mostly sawn. See ya. Okay, there we have it. And it needs a little cleanup, as always. But it looks pretty good. It might look off center now, but that's because this has more when we get this all done, it won't look offsetted. So I can just file the inside so it's nice and smooth, and we're sanded too. And keep looking at it, making sure you can eyeball it to make sure that it's that looks good actually. So I'm just gonna finish this up, do a little bit of sanding, and I'll get back to you. Okay, so I got a piece of bezel wire. It's fine silver, so it's nice and soft. And with a big stone like this, you can actually get away with just going around the stone by hand to determine how long you want your bezel, or how much bezel wire you need. And this is, luckily, this is almost exactly right. I need to take off just a bit. And you can mark where you need to take off. Right, I can actually eyeball it. So, alright, you see that? You need to take off just that little bit right there. And so, it doesn't matter whatever side. Actually pick the side that's, pick the side, this one's nice and flat. They both are. But, put it in our miter jig. And take off the amount you need. Okay, so I'll file that down and then I'll sand it. And then just sand it to get rid of any of the spots on the side. And there we have it. Oops. Ready to be soldered. We can check it one more time. And I can see that that's good. It's very good. Okay. So the next step is to mate these two so they're is nice and snug up against one another. And as I said before, this sometimes takes a little bit of fiddling. I can see these are pretty nice and snug, but this thing is torqued a little bit. So although it's nice on one side, it's not nice on the other. So here we go. That looks good. So I'm going to get set up for soldering, and I'll get back to you when I have that all set up. Okay, so we're ready to solder it. And the steps for soldering a bezel like this is get a little piece of hard solder, put it down on the soldering block, and then put the seam that you're trying to solder right on top of it. Add a little bit of liquid flux and solder. Big piece, but it's not a lot of metal. But you want to uniformly warm it up. And there it goes. You'll see that it'll jump right up to through the seam. You're not going to be able to see that on camera, but it's very easy to tell when it's gone. And there we have it. So I'll put that into the quench and I'll pickle that, and I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. This has been soldered, and And you can't see because it's way over here. Just a second. Alright, everything's been soldered. And again, I put it into the form. Sanded it down a bit to make sure that it will sit nice and flat on my piece. Just like that. Well, I have to do it on the other side, but center it so that it's the pierced out side, pierced out middle is center. And that'd be that. So let's get that ready for soldering. And let me just do that off camera and I'll bring you back when we're ready to solder. Okay, so I got the solder block ready. I'm going to put some flux on it. I'm going to flux the whole piece. Okay, now align this using the inside as a guide. Okay, that looks good. So now we'll apply the solder chips. And actually we can do this solder chips on the inside or solder chips on the outside because we're going to make the outside flush with the bezel. So let's go for outside. And we'll go around and do that. And when I have that ready and I have my torch ready, I'll bring you right back. Alright, so again, not concentrating on the bezel right away. We're trying to get this big chunk of sterling silver heated up. You want to make sure it's down. You got a good, I mean it's already flowed. Just overabundance of caution here. Such a big bezel, you can easily have a gap. But we'll find that out after we've quenched it and pickled it and looked at it. You can try to do it now, but you might drop it on your finger, which would hurt. Okay, I'll be back after it's pickled. Okay, that's been pickled. And see how that fits. It's gonna fit nice. A little snug, this is the way I want it. The nice thing about having a hole in the back is you can poke it back out. I think everybody that's done any bezel setting of cabochons has had that lovely time where you put the stone in to check it out. It's very, very hard to get it out. But there are ways around that. People use dental floss to put it underneath so you can get it out. Other people use like sticky wax. They can pull it out. And this, I don't have to worry about that. I just poke it out from the back. Okay, so the next step is to roughly cut out all along here, and then we're smooth it all out so it's all flush with our bezel. So I'm going to start sawing, and I'll bring you back when I'm done. I didn't put my saw back together after I was doing my piercing. Yeah, you want to call that piercing. I'm not going to try to get really, really close. The closer I can get, the less work I have to do later on. But you can also screw it up when you try to get too close. Take a nick out of your bezel. So better safe than sorry. That's about as close as I'm going to get, and I'm going to go all the way around. About that distance, leaving this out so that we have a place to put our loop or hole for our jump ring for our necklace part, the chain part. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, so the piece has been sawed out, and we'll just get rid of that portion. And now what we want to do is to go around the sides and slowly take off this last little part. And you should be careful when you're doing this. One thing you want to avoid is distorting your bezel when you're using a clamp like this. I'm going to use these sandpaper rolls that I put onto mandrels, and just take your time and go around. And even it out so that it's all flush. The bottom plate will disappear into the bezel when you have it exactly right. Okay, so as you get closer, you'll see that it will just disappear. The back plate will just disappear into the bezel, and that's what you want. See how it's doing that? So all the way around like that. Take your time. If there's any warping in your bezel, or like, there's nothing I can show you here, but be careful of that, because you want to take it off uniformly. You don't want to get a real, see, just like that. And then we're going to go all the way around and do that. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, so that's all finished. It looks nice. You can see all the way around. You don't see the back plate. So we're on to the next step, is to drill a hole right there to accept our jump ring for the chain cord. I'm going to try to get right in the middle with my center hole punch, and then we'll drill that out. Start out with a small drill. This is a 1 millimeter, and I'll probably open that up a little bit. Okay, so so that's done. Let's go over jump rings a little bit. Actually, maybe we should go over how to make jump rings. Yeah, that'd be a good episode. Always with jump rings, use 2 pliers and turn them. Never try to pull them out like that, because you'll never get them back together. They'll never be like round again. And when you bring them together, use a twisting motion, and they will set up just nice so that you can barely see that there's a gap there, and that will fill nicely with solder. So let me get my solder station ready and I'll be right back. Okay. Now we're ready for a little bit of solder. And I think the best way to do this, but as you've seen before, I'm not that great at it. I need to get a project, we'll have to do it over and over and over again, is to pick solder it. And let's try that. You don't need much of a flame here. You just have a piece of solder on my block, got it up there on the tip, and then there we go. It's as simple as that. And there we have it. That went quicker than I kind of hoped, but I hope you saw it. We're done. We put this in the pickle, and then we'll set our stone. I'll be right back. Okay, so let's set the stone. So put it in there. Make sure it's nice, snug, and all the way down to the bottom. Looks good. And then we'll just go around and do what we always do. Push in from the side and then fold it over. We'll do that all the way around. You won't be able to push it really into the side right at the very, very top. That's okay. That's your only spot. It's going to hold the stone well enough. Okay, so that's it. So now we have to decide, well, I'll fix this up a little bit more, but after that we have to decide what we're going to use for a chain. But yeah. Okay, so here it is. I polished it up. There's the back. And I think for now I'm going to just put a cord on it. It's more length than I need, but and to attach it, what I'm going to use is these ancient beads I have here. These things are trade beads, Pacific sort of trade beads. And what you have to do is you have to find the right size hole. And this might take a little bit of, playing around to find the exact one that gives me the hole that I want. I want a hole that makes it so that it has a lot of friction to pull the cord through, where that will hold it in place. And that way it'll be adjustable. And this looks like the right one. We just have to sort of plonk it in there. Yep, got it. Now, what length would be good? Doesn't matter, because this can be any length you want. So I'm just going to tie it off. I can do, of course, I can come back and do this right. I'm doing this kind of quickly here for you guys. And you can put embellishments on the end. There's a lot you can do with these beads and the way you finish up your cord. I'm looking for my scissors and of course I can't find them. So what do I got? I got nippers. And they were good too. Okay, so that's it. And that can be, like I said, because it can be adjusted down and that will hold there. So you can have it you can have it choker size, or you can have it so that it hangs down really low. You know, whatever you want. So, there it is. Nice, sort of large pendant with a Ocean Jasper. I think it turned out quite nice. And I like the shininess too. I actually like shiny silver, probably the best. But, okay. That's it. I'm not too certain if I'm going to stick with this cord or I'll put something else on it. But I think it works with it. It's just a matter of, does somebody like that or not? Well, thank you very much for watching, and I hope I see you again sometime. Goodbye.